Hi, Kathy Mitchell, and welcome to my actual kitchen. This is real life, so if the dog runs through, the phone rings, this ain't TV, it's the real thing. Now, if you're watching this DVD, you probably got a brand new Ready, Set, Go. And I'm going to use this time to show you some tips and tricks that'll make it work really great for you, some things that I like to do in it for my family. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is take a look at your machine. It's got a great cord wrap on the bottom, so you can wrap that cord and it will sit on its end like this, or you can just leave it out on the counter, and I think you'll find that's where it stays most of the time because you're going to use it every day. Now, the first thing you want to do before you use your machine is season it. So what we'll do is plug it in and let it preheat so that we can season it up and get it ready to cook the first time. Now, let me show you a couple of features on here. You'll notice inside there's no divider. If you're familiar with the original Express 101, it had a divider down the center. So by taking out the divider, we've given you 25% more cooking area and a lot more versatility. But we didn't forget that divider. You're going to find it in the box in an extra divider pan that'll fit right in there just like that. So you can still make the old recipes you used to make. And we've also got a great new pan called the Mini Food Pan. And this is super for making little mini brownies or cupcakes. We're going to do all kinds of stuff with that. Now, you want to let this preheat. There's a little light here. When I just plugged it in, you can see that light isn't lit yet. So it's gonna, when that turns green, it'll tell me that it's preheated and ready to cook. So while we wait for that, let's talk about recipes for a second. Because inside the box, you also found this great recipe book. Now, this is filled with tips and tricks as well, plus lots and lots of great recipes. And I love it that every recipe shows you which pan you're gonna be using. It tells you the time it's gonna need to cook, how you can fix leftovers, how many servings it is, and you're going to find lots and lots of great ideas in here. But remember, this is your book, so if you change a recipe a little bit, make a note inside of what you did differently so the next time you can make it the same way. Now, you're also going to find these bonus recipes, and I love this. This is a lot of the stuff we made in the show. You're going to find $1 recipes, you're going to find recipes under 100 calories, and recipes with less than 3 ingredients, so it's going to be fast and simple. But I think you found, if you've looked through that cookbook at all, that most of my recipes don't have a lot of ingredients. They're all things you can find in the kitchen, which makes it a lot easier to use. Now, on this machine, you're also going to find a timer because I mentioned that all the recipes go by time. It says cook for 7 minutes. You're now going to be able to set that timer for 7 minutes, and when it rings, you'll know your dinner or your lunch is ready. And when that bell rings, remember, it doesn't shut itself off. You've got an on and off switch, so when you hear the bell, be sure you turn the machine off. Otherwise, it's just going to keep on cooking. Now, we're going to go ahead and brush that with a little bit of oil here. Now, this is how you season it. You're going to take just a little bit of cooking oil, vegetable oil, butter, margarine, whatever, and you want to brush it on the inside really well. Get it covered and the top as well. This is what you're going to do just the first time. You don't have to do this every time you cook, but just get it all brushed in there just like that. And now we're just going to let it preheat and kind of burn on there for a minute, and then we'll wipe it out. So while it's doing that, let's talk about utensils. What you found in the box was this great double-sided spatula. Now, this side is for taking food out of the divided pan, and you'll find it a lot easier to get food out if you work from this flat edge. I see so many people trying to get food out like this, and it's hard to get it under. So work from the flat side, lift it out, and onto your plate. Now, when you're working in the big one, you're going to use the big round spatula like that. Now, you can use anything you've got in your kitchen as far as tools, as long as they're safe in nonstick pans like these tongs or something. I do not want you in this machine with metal forks or spoons or anything like that because you'll scratch that great nonstick surface. So watch for metal, but anything else is fair game. Now, this has had a chance to burn on a little bit, and now all you're going to do is take a paper towel and wipe it out. And what that's done is kind of gotten your surface ready for cooking. It's kind of solidified the nonstick and made it ready to go. And you're going to love using this machine because it's really easy to use and clean up. Now, I've gotten the majority of it out with that paper towel. What you're going to find, I love to use, and hopefully you can get one too, these little microfiber cloths are great because truthfully the easiest way to clean that machine is when it's still warm. And these are so thick and absorbent that it doesn't burn my finger while I'm wiping it out. But look how clean that is, just perfect and ready to go. And I can just clean it up while it's hot. We'll show you clean up as we go along and cook, but for now, let's get cooking. Okay, we're ready to start cooking, and I'm going to show you all of the different things you can do with this machine. But for starters, let's start with just the base the way it comes. And as I said before, this is perfect for lots of things, but I think my family's favorite is pizza. Now, there are lots and lots of different things you can use for pizza crusts. You can use tortillas, corn or flour. You can use pita bread. Find the ones that are just about 6 inches around, and they'll be perfect for your crust. You can even use tortilla bread. It's great for like Mexican pizzas. And of course, there's that pizza sauce in the can. But you know, I really want to encourage you to try my almost instant pizza crust. The recipe is in the cookbook, and it is so easy to use. Once you mix it up, you can store it in the refrigerator, so it's always ready for making pizza. This is just a little ball of dough. And pizza is so popular at my house that my family even has what we call the pizza box. And in here I keep all the little leftover dibs and dabs, things that you might normally throw away. A little piece of chicken, a little bit of broccoli, some leftover bell peppers or mushrooms, and this stuff gets used up that way, so it's not cash in the trash. It goes on the pizzas, and the kids will eat more vegetables that way. So let's start with the dough, and I'm going to show you how to deal with the cold dough. You store this into the refrigerator up to 2 weeks, and when you're ready to make a pizza, I just take a little paper plate and pour just a little drop of olive oil in the middle. That makes this easier to work with. Now take one of your balls of dough out of the wrapper and just drop it right on that plate, and kind of roll it in the olive oil so it won't stick to your fingers or to the plate. And at that point, you just want to start squishing it out into a circle. That's why I use the paper plate, because it kind of gives me an idea. What you're looking for is about a 6-inch circle, just like so, and it's very easy to do, and that olive oil makes it real slippery. So once you get it pretty well pressed out, we're going to go ahead and drop it right in there. That preheated machine, you can hear it start to sizzle right away. I go ahead and kind of take my fingers and press it out to the edges a little bit. And now that's ready to be pizza. So we're going to start off with some toppings. Now you want to start with dough with a sauce. And I just use a jarred pizza sauce. You can use leftover spaghetti sauce, whatever you have. Just put a little spoonful of it right in the center of that dough and just kind of spread it around. Now, I know I said not to use metal utensils, but I'm only just spreading it on the crust. I'm not getting on the machine. So once you got your crust on there, you can add your toppings. And this is where everybody gets to look for what they like. I like pepperoni. And I do buy this 70% less fat turkey pepperoni. It tastes better to me, and it's not so greasy. So you're just going to go ahead and put a little ring of that pepperoni. You can use Canadian bacon, you can use leftover chicken or ground beef, whatever you've got. This is the greatest way to use up leftovers, and everybody loves a little fresh pizza. Now, whatever you like on a pizza, I like to put the cheese on first and then my toppings on the top. So you see, you get to have it your way when you're at your house. So just put a little light mozzarella on top of there. And I like a little bit of olive. You ever notice when you buy them at the pizzeria, they skimp on the olives? If you're making them yourself, you get to put on as many as you like. So there goes our olives. And I like some green pepper, so we'll toss a little green pepper on there. It's so handy to have everything all chopped up and ready to go, and things get used up this way. Okay, now I didn't grease the bottom because I just put the olive oil all over that crust. I do like to spray the top with a little nonstick in case that cheese would want to stick. So just a little shot of that and close the lid. And that's going to cook in 7 minutes. At my house, we couldn't even find the number of the pizzeria at that 7 minutes. Now I want to show you just how easy it is to make that crust. So let's clear this stuff away, and I'll show you how we made that almost instant pizza crust. Let's see, we're going to need a mixing bowl, a measuring cup, some salt, and a little yeast, and some flour. All right. Now, I don't know why a lot of people are afraid of making yeast doughs, but there's only one thing you need to remember. The yeast needs warm water to rise. Warm water. Cold and it won't rise, hot and it'll kill the yeast. So what you're looking for is baby bottle warm. So we're going to get about, I'm letting it run right on my hand until I feel it's just about baby bottle warm. And then we're going to get a cup of water. There we go. I think my kitchen is way far away from my water heater. This is a real easy recipe. It's 1 cup of water and 2 cups of flour. or a cup and a half of water and 3 cups of flour, or 2 cups of water and 4 cups of flour, depending on how many people you're feeding, how many pizzas you want to make. If you want to have the kids over for a little pizza party, make up a big batch of this. Now you can use the crust when it's freshly made, or you can put it in the refrigerator, as I said, and store it up to about 2 weeks. Now you just want to go ahead and sprinkle your package of yeast right on top of that water. And then we're going to add about a teaspoon of salt. In case you didn't know, that's a teaspoon. So give it a little stir, just to get the yeast kind of mixed up with the water a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and add 2 cups of flour. Now, if you've got a stand mixer, go ahead and do it in there. If you don't have a stand mixer, put one of your kids to work doing this. Basically, it's not a big mixing job. You just want to get that flour incorporated into that water. Now, once you get this mixed up, you're going to want to cover it and put it in a warm place for about an hour and a half or 2 hours. And then it's ready to be pizza. If you're not ready to eat pizza right then you're going to go ahead and bag it up and put it away and store it in the refrigerator. But that's all you need to do. See how fast and easy that is? And once it's mixed, you're just going to cover it and put it in a warm place. Now, I have a pilot light in my oven. I can just put it in there. But in 2 hours, I'll show you what it's going to look like. Voila, just like that. Risen dough. Now watch this. You can just do this right on your counter, or if you've got a little mat, baking mat or whatever, just kind of sprinkle that dough out, that flour out there, and dump your dough. I'm going to use the spatula here. Just falls right out just like that. Turn it over a couple of times to get some flour coated on it. You see, it's not even sticky. Now, does this look hard? No. Anybody can do this. And believe it or not, this is bread. If I put this in a pan, muffin pans, and let it rise, it'd be muffins. But it's now pizza dough. Now, what I'm looking to do here is get it into kind of a long, skinny thing. And this is the 2 cups of flour and 1 cup of water. So it makes 6 or 8 pizza crusts, depending on whether you like the thick pan pizza or the thin or crispy. I like the thick, so I cut it into 6 pieces. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, close enough. Now here's how I store it, because I'm frugal. I buy these, they're called bread bags, because they're not Ziplocs. And I just put 1 little ball of dough in each corner and pull it up like that and give it a twist and put them in the refrigerator just like that. And those will store in the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks. Generally, you're probably going to end up making a pizza or 2 with part of it and then storing the rest. But if you want to make these up ahead of time so your kids can come home from school and make some pizza, go right ahead. But that's an easy, fast way, and as you see, it's so easy. I don't think you'll ever again feel like you need to go to the store and buy canned pizza dough. And wait till you taste this. Yum-o. All right, just like that, they're ready to go into the refrigerator. Fast and easy. We've got about 2 more minutes on that pizza. I'm going to clean up my mess and then we'll come back and see how that pizza looks. There's the ding. That means our pizza's ready. Let's check it out. Oh, look at that. I wish you could smell it. Now all we're going to do is lift it right out of there. And you see no sticking on the bottom and no cheese on the top. That is a perfect personal pizza. And I don't know, can I show? Who can see the bottom? Can you see how brown it is? Well, I guess the sound will be the teller. I'll get my microphone really close. Can you hear that crisp? Oh, so good. Didn't have to wait. And I think this pizza costs less than $1 to make and doesn't have a whole lot of calories because I can control exactly what I'm putting on it. Oh, that is some good looking pizza. Now we're going to come back and do a recipe in the divider pan that comes with your set. We'll work our way through the pans. Back in a sec. Okay, now we're going to talk about the divided food pan. Now this is great anytime you want to cook 2 different things at the same time. So I use it a lot for a meat and a side dish. I use it when I'm cooking the chicken breast with the stuffing in them, or the beef rolls, or little cakes. But remember, it's going to make a big size cake. So if you want smaller cakes, we'll show you how to make them smaller later. But anytime you need to cook something that's divided, this is the one you're going to use. And one of the things I love my Ready, Set, Go for is cooking things like frozen fillets like this, or chicken, or anything that comes frozen. You know, things that are frozen that go in the oven. This one, for instance, says 425-degree oven for 25 to 28 minutes. Now that's a long time to cook. Try explaining that to a hungry toddler. Plus it uses a lot of energy. When you cook it in the Ready, Set, Go, it's going to cook way faster and at a lot less energy use. So look at this, how easy. All you have to do is pull out a couple of those fillets. And let me show you a little trick. Because what touches the heating surfaces is what's going to brown and crisp. So if you just want to cook one of them, you're going to have to turn it over halfway through the cooking. If you want to cook two of them, I'll show you a little trick. I'm going to spray first with a little bit of nonstick spray and lay in my fillet. Now that's going to brown on that side, and I'm going to put another one right on the top, and that's going to touch the top, so it's going to brown on that side. And about halfway through the cooking, I'm going to turn them over so the other side's brown. So we'll go ahead and spray the top and close the lid, and I'm going to set the timer for about 7 minutes. These take about 12 to 15 minutes to cook totally, depending on how thick the fish is. So once that I turn them over for the first time, then I'm going to go ahead and put a side dish in the other side. So what I want you to get also is that it's okay to leave half of the machine empty. You don't have to fill both sides when you're cooking. All right, so while those are cooking, let's think about some dessert. And I don't know about your family, but my family loves sweet things. So I'm going to make some brownie bites in that machine there. Now what I've got here is the mini food pan, and I just mixed up part of a brownie mix and just filled all the little trays with that, and give them a little sweet surprise inside. I've got some Hershey's Kisses here, and I'm just going to drop one in the center of each one of those. Now you can let your imagination go crazy. You want to put butterscotch chips in here, or a little piece of a candy bar, or I tried marshmallows. I thought it'd make like one of those cream-filled cakes, but the marshmallow just disappeared, so I'll save you some trouble. Marshmallows don't work. You want to put some nuts in there, maybe the Kisses with almond filling, whatever you like. Just unwrap them and pop them right in the center, and that cake's going to rise up around them, so it'll give me a brownie kiss. Brownie with a nice wet kiss inside. Now, look here. One of the things you're going to find once you start using your Ready, Set, Go is as you walk through the supermarket, you're going to start looking for things that look like they'll fit in here really good. And one day I stumbled upon these little phyllo shells. Now phyllo dough is not like pie crust. It's not got the fat that pie crust has. So these are actually pretty low cal. They're not sweet, so they'll accept a sweet filling or a savory filling, either one. They don't have a lot of flavor of their own. And look how cute they are. They just come just like this in these little mini cups, and they fit right inside the mini food pan, so I can make these little mini quiches. Now all I did for these was dropped one of those little cups in each well and filled them with a mixture of egg that I put a little bit of bacon and some green onions in. So I've got quick little bacon and onion quiches. You could put tomatoes in there or zucchini, whatever you liked, or you could fill them, just bake them empty and fill them with chocolate mousse or just something little tiny for a tiny little sweet bite. But it's just so much fun to play with the pans, and you'll come up with all kinds of great uses. Those are great at a party, and people love to come in the kitchen and help make the stuff. So I don't have to worry that I'm stuck in the kitchen while the party's going on in the other room, because when I have my Ready, Set, Go out in the kitchen, everybody gathers around in here and everybody wants to have a hand at putting something in it. So we're going to go ahead and bake these little brownie bites. I'm just going to set them right in there. Remember, you're going to line up the notches on this with the little holes in there, so set it right in there. And again, I'm going to spray the inside of the lid, because if it touches that chocolate, it might stick. So just a quick spray on the inside of the lid, close it down. And those are going to take about, I'm just going to say about 7 minutes to cook. Okay, that fish is ready to turn over. Now, I'm going to show you a little quick trick here. I'm going to go ahead and move it to the other side. So I'm going to spray the other side, and I'm going to take this one, which is brown on that side, and put the unbrowned side down, and then we'll take this one and turn him over this way. See, this side's brown already, so I'm just going to put it that way, and now the other two sides are going to brown. So on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and make a little rice side dish. So for that, we're going to use about 1/3 of a cup of minute rice, right in the well there, and about 1/3 of a cup of chicken broth. And then I like to add some vegetables to it because it adds a little color, and it also gets a little more vegetables into my kids. So there's our water, and I just keep these mixed vegetables in the freezer. So anytime you just need a little color in there, In they go. All right, I'll give it a little stir. And that rice is going to cook up, and that fish is going to finish browning in about 5 more minutes. So there we go. Okay, those brownies just rang their little bell. Let's see what we got here. Oh, yum. Can you see those? Just a little piece of the kiss tipping out of there. Now, normally I let these cool for just a few minutes before I unplate them, but let's unpan them, but let's try it and see what we got here. Just going to flip them over. Oh, those cute. Look at that. Perfect little brownie bites. That's a great way to show people you love them. And you know what? When you're on a diet, sometimes you just got to have something sweet. Way better off to eat one of these and get that brownie out of your system than eat a whole great big plate of them. So look at these as diet brownies. And remember when we did the little mini food pan in the infomercial, we did so many things. It's one of the most versatile pans. This is the one we did the little eggsters, the little tater tot with the egg on it, a little smoky with some pancake batter in it. You're just going to have so much fun with this, whether it's for hors d'oeuvres or kids' parties or whatever. You're going to have a great time with that. Now, let's take a look at our fish. Oh, yes. Now remember, this is the fish that normally would have needed a 425-degree oven and 28 minutes, cooked it in about 15 minutes in here. The first 7.5 was just cooking the fish, and then I added the rice for the last part. Now I'm going to go ahead and take these out of here and serve them up. Oh, those look delicious, and I've got a little plate here. Yum. Oh. And one of the things that you'll love about the fact that you can take these inserts out of the machine is that it makes it much easier to get the food on the plate. Pardon my backside here. Look at that rice. That's a great little lunch. And these will just go right in the dishwasher, so your cleanup is a breeze. Now, I'll be back with some more pans. Okay, we've talked about the divider pan and the mini food pan that came with your Ready, Set, Go. But let me show you some other pans that you can get if you join the Perfect Pan Club. Now, a lot of you probably did that when you bought your machine, but if you didn't, you're going to want to, because the first pan you get when you join the club is the whole round, which mimics the base of your Ready, Set, Go, but allows you to take the pan out and turn it upside down. Remember in the infomercial, I made that great pineapple upside down cake, and it's so much easier when you're doing something with a sauce in it or something that needs to be plated like that, that you can take that out and put it in the dishwasher when you're done. Now, there's lots of pans that come to you in the Pan Club, and you may want a place to store them. Look what I did. I went to the stationery store and I bought this little 7-day letter holder, and instead of setting it like this, I set it like this, and it is the perfect place to hold those pans so they're at your fingertips. And this is probably my favorite, the full round, but there are so many great pans that come with it. When you join the club, you go to the website, ReadySetGo.com, and every couple of weeks they'll send you new pans, and you can keep your cooking ideas fresh, and it makes it so much more fun to get in the kitchen and cook with your Ready, Set, Go. So we're going to come back and start with some breakfast. Okay, we're going to start with breakfast now, and this is one of the great pans. This is the waffle pan. Now, it doesn't make traditional crispy waffles. What it makes are big, fat, light pancakes with lots of room for extra syrup, and I love that. So what we're going to do, I use these little bag mixes like this. Now, this is triple berry, and that's what I've got mixed up today, but there's chocolate chip, there's banana nut, so you can have different kind of pancakes all the time. Now, just mix it up according to the package directions, and first we're going to spray this pan with a little bit of non-stick. Spray it good, and then fill it with your batter. Just follow the directions. There's a recipe on the back for muffins, so of course you can make it into muffins, but if you want to make it into pancakes, you're just going to go ahead and fill it that pan just like so, and we're going to pop it right in there. And again, because remember it's going to rise, you're always going to want to spray the inside of the lid. Like so. Now I've got some extra, and of course I could save that and make more pancakes when this one's done, but let me show you something else, because here's another pan that's great. This is a little hard pan. Now you might be thinking, oh yeah, Valentine's Day, and of course it's great for Valentine's Day, but how often do you forget to tell your kids you love them? So every time you serve them something heart-shaped, they're going to know that mom loves them a lot. So again, I'm going to just go ahead and spray that little heart pan with a little non-stick, and I'm going to use the rest of my batter and make little heart-shaped mini pancakes. The kids love them. Just fill those wells up. Neatness doesn't count. Good thing for me, huh? All right. There we go. These would be so great served with some fresh strawberries or berries. And of course, you can save that in the refrigerator for a day or two if you don't want to use it all the first day. And we're going to go ahead and put that one in this right here. And again, always remember to spray the inside of the lid, but just spray it just before you close it. If you spray it 15 minutes ago, it all drips off. So just before I close the lid, give it that spray. Now I guess I better set the timer. That pancake's going to take about 7 minutes. Same for those. I told you everything takes just about 7 minutes, so that's going to give me a little time to talk. You know, talking about nonstick spray, this is one of the best things you can have in your kitchen because it has a whole lot more uses than just keeping food sticking in your pots and pans. One of the things I use it for a lot is when I'm storing leftovers in my plasticware like Tupperware or Rubbermaid. If you spray the inside of the container before you put something like spaghetti sauce in there, not only does it come out a lot easier, but it doesn't stain it orange. So that's something to remember. Spray the inside of your leftover containers before you put tomatoey things and they won't stain anymore. Now, I'm going to serve this pancake when it's done with some fruit syrup. And of course, you can buy it in bottles at the store. But I'll tell you, there's a little recipe in one of the cookbooks I'm going to talk about later that tells you how you can take a box of Jell-O. You take this, I think it's a cup of sugar, a couple of tablespoons of cornstarch and a little water, and you just stir it in a pan, and it makes any flavored fruit syrup that Jell-O comes in. So if you want cherry syrup, strawberry syrup, triple berry syrup, even lime syrup, you can make it. And it's great on your pancakes or your breakfast foods. Surprise the kids with different flavored syrups. Okay, now while we're still on breakfast, let me show you another idea. This is the Trio Circle Pan, and it's perfect for poached eggs. You can poach 3 eggs in it, but I use it for lots of things. You can make perfectly round cookies in it. You can make little tiny cakes. There's lots and lots of ideas, but this one I'm going to make a breakfast. Now, as I said, you could obviously poach 3 eggs in there, or you could cook 3 biscuits, but I'm going to make breakfast for one. So in this one side, I've got 3 of those little smoky sausages. In the next side, I'm going to put a biscuit. Now, I love these little refrigerator biscuits just for handy, quick, and you can keep them in the refrigerator after you've opened the package for a couple of days, so your kids can make themselves a quick breakfast. Just pop that into one of the wells. And the other one, I'm going to poach an egg. You know, poached eggs, when you had to make them the old-fashioned way where they were in water, were messy as heck. This makes it so much easier. And by the way, while we're talking about eggs, if you ever wondered how to tell if an egg is still fresh, here's a little hint. If you drop an egg into a cup of water, if it sinks, is good. If it floats, no bueno, don't eat it. Now, talking about cracking eggs, for years, my mother cracked the eggs on the edge of a bowl, and sometimes she'd get little eggshells in the food. When you crack an egg, if you crack it on the countertop with just one smart wrap just like that, you don't get all those tiny little broken pieces. It comes out just perfect, just like that. So we've got our poached egg ready to go. Now, I'm going to put it in one of these machines, but they're not quite ready. So let's talk about making things up ahead of time and storing them for later. You know, if you want to get a breakfast ready at night before you go to bed, go to redi.go.com, and you can go to the little store and order these covers that are perfectly shaped to fit on top of these pans. I'll put it on this one here so you can see. See, there's a little cutaway right there on that side, and it just flops right over there and snaps into place. So you can stack those in your refrigerator and have things ready-made so that when the kids come home from school, they can pop in a little after-school snack, or when they get up in the morning, your breakfast is ready to just go in, and it makes your life a lot easier. So work on getting things made ahead of time, and with the extra pans, it's great because you've always got extra pans to make your prep work. Okay, you ready to shake our waffle? Oh, I wish you could smell this. It smells so good. Now, I'm using my little silicone lifter, which again you can get at the store at redi.go.com. Now, here's one of those places where, because you can remove the plate, it makes it the pan. It makes it so much easier to plate the food. So I'm just going to turn this over, and there's our. Doesn't that look like a picture out of a magazine? And look at this, no cleanup. That just goes right in the dishwasher, so no cleanup. Now, I'm going to just put a little of my berry syrup on top of that. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. You guys ready to eat? And maybe a few fresh raspberries. Like I said, that looks like a picture out of a magazine, doesn't it? Now, how about our little heart-shaped muffins or pancakes? Look how cute those are. There isn't a kid alive that wouldn't love those for breakfast. Because, you know, kids are finger people. They like to pick stuff up and dip it in the syrup or whatever. But these are just the perfect size and shape to have a little pancake with their breakfast or something. And speaking of pancakes and biscuits, there's something you're going to want to keep on hand at your house like a staple, and that is this Heart Smart Bisquick. You cannot tell the difference between regular Bisquick and this, except it's so much healthier. And speaking of hearts, you want to watch your family's hearts too. You know, one of the things I love to do with this, when I buy fresh strawberries, and sometimes you've got strawberries and no shortcake, here's a quickie for you. Just follow the recipe on the back for the shortcake, except substitute the milk with some Diet 7-Up. So put your Bisquick, some Diet 7-Up, stir it up to make like a little wet biscuit dough, and put it in your little heart shapes. Bake it for about 7 minutes and split them open and fill them with fresh strawberries, and they are delicious. So keep this on hand in your pantry because you're going to use Bisquick for a lot of the recipes with your Ready, Set, Go. Now let me get these this breakfast in here to cook. And oh, I'm going to eat that waffle, I think. That looks delicious. Whoop, here we go. Close that lid, and that's going to be a complete breakfast in about 6 minutes, so we'll be back to check on it. Okay, our breakfast is done. Remember, when the bell rings, you need to turn off the machine. And oh, look at that. We've got our 3 little sausages and our biscuit. And I put a little fruit on the plate because remember, you're supposed to have fruit with every meal. And here's our perfect poached egg, just like that. Now, who wouldn't love a breakfast like that? It's perfect proportions. It's not too much of anything. It's a good, nourishing breakfast, and it took 6 minutes in the Ready, Set, Go. Okay, I think we've covered breakfast. Now let's talk about lunchtime and after-school snacks. Now, I've got the quarter pan preheating in my Ready, Set, Go. This has got 4 little wedge-sized quarters, and this pan is absolutely perfect for my son's favorite snack, pizza burger bites. Now, he's my baby, but he's 40 years old, and this is still his favorite. Now, what I've done is I've taken a Grand's biscuit. They come in the big can like this, and rolled it out just a little bit so it's got about a 5-inch circle there, and I've cut it into 4 little wedges, and I'm going to put one in the bottom of each of those sections, just like that. Cooperate, you guys. Now, I'm going to add some meat, and in this case, it's going to be hamburger. Now, I got a little trick to show you. You know, I've been behind a lady at the butcher counter so many times that's ordered 5 pounds of hamburger wrapped up in 1-pound bags, and I know that lady goes home and puts them all in the freezer and then forgets to thaw one out before it's time for dinner. But think about what you use hamburger for. You make spaghetti sauce, you make tacos, you make sloppy joes, you make lasagna. All of these things start with browned ground beef. So why cook it 5 times? Take that whole 5 pounds home and cook it 1 time. Make your ground beef, drain off any fat, put it in a plastic bag, and store it in the freezer. Then anytime you need ground beef, it's already cooked, and you don't have that mess to clean up 5 times. Now, I keep a little bit in the refrigerator in my pizza box because it's just perfect when the kids want pizza burger. And I'm just going to put a little bit in there and mix it with a little pizza sauce. Now, this is simple and fast. And you can put this inside that biscuit. Is going to make like a closed, like a pizza pocket sandwich. But wait till you see how good these come out. Now see, my biscuits are already starting to rise. I'm just going to put a little bit of that hamburger meat on top of each one of them. That's a little bit to me. You know, if you're going to eat, you might as well have plenty of beef in there. Okay, now these get topped with American cheese, hence the name Pizza Burger Bites. But I'm not going to put the cheese on quite yet because it in there for 7 minutes, it's almost going to burn. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and close this up and let them cook for about 5 minutes, and then I'm just going to add the cheese for the last 2 minutes. So spray the inside of that lid, close it up, and we'll set that timer for 5 minutes. Now while those are cooking, let's show you this other pan. This is one of my favorites. This is the 2 ovals pan. And if you just look at it, you can see that it lends itself to all kinds of things like egg rolls or wraps. One of the things that I love it for is corn dogs, or what I'm going to make now, a calzone. But one lady wrote and told me that she bakes her cakes in here, the mini cakes. You know, used to bake them in just the half round. But she said when she served them to the kids, she cut them in half and gave them each half, and they complained that they were only getting a half a piece of cake. So by making them in here, it makes them smaller to begin with. Now for this one, I'm going to make you a corn dog, and I'm going to make you a calzone. So I'm going to go ahead and spray it with a little nonstick. And for the calzone, I'm going to use another one of those Grand's biscuits, but this time you see I've rolled it in kind of an oval instead of a round, and just let it drop right in there. And then all we have to do is fill it. Now you could use obviously some pepperoni or sausage or any kind of filling you want. I'm just going to go ahead and use up this hamburger since I've already got it mixed up. And instead of the American cheese, which would make it a pizza burger, I'm going to go ahead and use mozzarella. Now, for convenience today, I am using pre-shredded mozzarella, but I never buy this usually because it's almost twice as much as buying it in the bulk chub. So here's a simple thing for you if you hate grating cheese. Buy your mozzarella or any cheese you want to grate, put it in the freezer actually for about 20 minutes before you grate it. And what it'll do, it'll grate really, really easily. It won't gum up and stick in the holes of the grater, and it grates really, really slick. So use that trick and you won't mind grating cheese nearly as much. Now I've got some mozzarella on there. I think I'll just add a couple of little green peppers just for some vegetable. And there's our pizza ready for its cheese, but it's going to wait just a second. Now let me just tuck these tops up over here. What you want to do is get this to kind of close itself up around that meat and that cheese. And it's going to fight with me a little bit, but that's okay. Those biscuits are nice and sticky. There you go. You see, we got a nice little close on there. Now, on the other side, I think there isn't a kid in the world that doesn't love corn dogs. So watch how easy a corn dog is. I've just got some hot dogs here. Now, these are long and kind of thin, and you can see they're actually a little bit long for there. So I'm just going to lop off the end, and the dog would appreciate that anyway. And I've got a little stick. These are just some little bamboo skewers that I've found. And I'm just going to stick it right in the end so it will actually be a corn dog. And it'll fit right in there just like that. Now I've got a little nonstick sprayed in there. I'm going to start with just a little bit of cornbread mix. And this is just a little Jiffy cornbread mix. You can buy those little Jiffies in the box and mix it up according to the package directions. Pop it in there. Wedge your little corn dog down in there. And put just a little more cornbread on the top. Just like so. And that's going to cook in about 7 minutes and make a great little corn dog. So we'll pop him in over here. Now because of that stick, it's going to stick out a little bit, but you'll see when I close the lid, all you got to do is spray it with nonstick first. And make sure the stick is just off to the side of that lid where it wants to close. And those are going to take about 7 minutes. Now, you heard that ding, it means it's ready for its cheese. You see how they're cooking up, the biscuits are risen, and the meat's all sizzling. All you got to do now is cut that cheese into your 4 little wedges as well, and pop one of those right on top of there. And in 2 more minutes, we will have hot pizza burger bites. Oh, wait till you see. Okay, our pizza burger bites are done. Oh, and yes, they are. If my son was here, I know where he'd be right now. Now look at these. This is just a great after-school snack. And I think I can just pop them right out of there. 1, 2. Oh, they smell so good. I'll lift that one out. Can't see where I'm going. There we go. Now we'll arrange them so it looks artful. That's the difference between real life and home. Do those look delicious or what? The ooey gooey cheese and the burgers, and I want to show you the bottom of that biscuit is nice and brown. All right, let's check our corn dog and our calzone. Wow, have you joined the Perfect Pan Club yet? If you haven't, RediSetGo.com. Join up and have all this fun. I want to show you how these come out. Now here's our calzone. And look at this. I want you to see it's brown on the bottom and on the top. Here's our corn dog. Let me see if I can get this guy out of here. Woo, right there. And we're going to put a little bit of mustard on the top, because who doesn't love mustard on a corn dog? That looks great. The kids love them. And look at this calzone. Where's my knife? Are you ready for this? Oh, yes. Look at that. Ooey gooey, filled with good stuff. That's delicious. Get some little paper dishes. Nothing to wash. Now, I said I'm not through yet. I've got 2 more pans to show you. We'll be right back with dessert. Look at all these pans. It just inspires your creativity to make something new. And you know what? Every pan is good for dessert. Now, I'm going to show you a little bundt pan in a second, but just take a look. I used the little heart pan here to make these cute little individual heart cakes. These are red velvet cake with sour cream icing and the little red sprinkles. Perfect way to say I love you. Here I use 2 pans. I use the full round for the base and the bundt pan for the top, a layer of cherry pie filling inside, and it's like a black forest torte. But you know what? Pancakes in the in the waffle pan, make your chocolate chip pancakes. Use the little wedge pan for little mini tarts or scones. The possibilities are endless. You're just going to love being a member of the Perfect Pan Club because this just keeps your creativity inspired and you'll love using them. And don't forget to get yourself some of these lids because that way you can prep stuff in advance. So all you have to do is pop it into a preheated ready, set, go. They just snap right on, just like this. So you can make something up in the morning and put it in the refrigerator, and at night when you come home all you have to do is pop it in and it's ready to go. So let's do some dessert. You know, I love these pans for dessert because it kind of encourages portion control. If I bake a big cake, I will eat a whole cake. It will call me from the kitchen, cake. So let me show you one of my favorite things to do, which is take a boxed cake mix and divide it into 3 portions, so I just make a third at a time. And it's perfectly designed for that because just about every cake I've ever seen calls for 3 eggs. So if you use a third of it, you're only going to use 1 egg in your mix. Now, most of them, you can measure if you like, but most of the box cakes have just about 3 cups of powder in them. So I'm just going to take a cup of that cake mix and put it in my bowl. And it calls for 1 egg and 1 cup of water and a 1/3 cup of oil. Now, you know what? You're going to find that the Ready, Set, Go cooks so moist that in most cases, I leave out the oil. Do it if you want to. But I don't think you'll need the oil, and it still makes a beautiful, moist cake. Now, we need a 1/3 cup of water. I'm just going to eyeball it because that's how I roll. And we're going to mix it up. Now, I'm going to show you how to make something a little bit special, not just a regular old cake. We're going to make a marble cake. You know, my mom and Dad used to play cards every Saturday night with another couple, and one week we'd be at their house, and the next week we'd be at our house, and we always had to make dessert. And my mom was famous for her marble cake, because it looks like you went to a lot of trouble, but it's really so simple. So all you do is mix up your cake mix just like this, and obviously if you have a mixer you can, but why mess up a bunch of stuff? You're just mixing up a 1/3 of that batter, just like that. Now all we're going to do now is take out about half of it and put it in another bowl. And in this half, I'm going to take and put 1 spoonful of this cocoa powder. Just use the unsweetened cocoa powder, just like that, and give that a stir. And that's going to turn that into chocolate. Now you can use a white cake if you're a purist and you want a pure, you know, white and chocolate, but this is just a yellow cake and it works just fine. All right, there we go. Chocolate and yellow cake, and you see how long this is taking. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the little butt pan, give it a spray with a nonstick, and what you want to do is just kind of put some blobs of chocolate here and there. 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. And then add your yellow part. And pour that right in on top. Now you see what this has done? It's made just exactly the right amount of cake for 1 little cake. So I don't have anything left over when I'm done. Look at that. Now to marble it, all you have to do is drag something through there to kind of mix them together. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and use the back of my spatula here. Just kind of give it a little swirls and curls. And then we'll put the last of that chocolate right on the top. Just kind of pour it around. There we go. Now that's going to cook in about 7 minutes. So in it goes. Don't forget to spray the top. That's because I did that a lot of times, forgot. 7 minutes to cake. So think about it. You're sitting around watching TV and somebody says, don't you have some dessert? Yes, you do. In 7 minutes you can have a cake. And what did it take me? A minute to mix it up. So get the perfect pans. Make the perfect desserts. They're portion controlled. They're creative. Your friends will all be wondering how on earth you did this, and enjoy. Now I'm going to come back with some more ideas in a few minutes. Okay, let's check our bundt cake. Oh, look at that. Now of course that's just the bottom. And it's nice again that you can take these out because that way I can put my little doily on it and get it centered just right. Put my plate on top of that and flip it. Oh, is that beautiful or what? Now watch this. I'm going to fill the center with some raspberries. Kind of looks like a relief map of the United States, South America, North America. Little powdered sugar. Powdered sugar fixes everything. And a few raspberries around the side for garnish. Oh, that's beautiful. That's just perfect for company. Is that beautiful? Okay, so we talked about the Perfect Pan Club, but I have another club that's near and dear to my heart. I got so many emails and letters from ladies asking for more recipes for the Ready, Set, Go that I made Kathy's Easy Eatin' Recipe Club. What I did was got busy in the kitchen and people sent me ideas, and we wrote all of these recipe books with lots and lots of different ideas. There's international recipes, there's breakfast, lunch, dinner, on the go, seasonal recipes, appetizer recipes, all in these little books. And when you join that club, you're going to get 3 of these beautiful little books every couple of weeks, so you can just keep those recipes coming. They are all full of recipes with beautiful pictures and perfect instructions. Like, look at this stuffed chicken recipe. Every recipe, like I showed you before, tells you which pan you're going to use, and it goes step by step, so it's easy to use and easy to make, and your family is going to love you when you come up with all these great new recipes. So you're going to go to ReadySetGo.com, join the Easy Eatin' Recipe Club, and you're going to get 3 of these books every couple of weeks, so you'll never run out of ideas for your Ready, Set, Go. Now I'm going to be back in a few minutes with a couple of my real favorites. I'm going to start with one of my favorite cookbooks, which is called On the Go, which means that if you're running late for work in the morning and you don't have time for breakfast, you eat it on the way. And I don't want you driving through the fast food places. Who knows what you're getting there, and it's expensive. Look here, there's lots of recipes for things that you can take with them. And you notice I have a little red Post-it thing in here, because what I do is I mark, when I find a recipe that I really like, I mark it with one of these little red flags. And now I can always get to it. So here's a ham and cheese croissant. Now, I know you don't really think you need a recipe for it, but sometimes you just need a recipe to give you the idea in the first place. So watch what I've done here. A few seconds ago, I took, these are egg beaters, and I poured just a little bit in my pan, so I've got myself a little crescent of egg. Now over here on my croissant, I've got a piece of provolone, some ham, and another piece of provolone, and now I'm just going to take and push that egg right out onto the top. Does this look familiar? Except when you get those croissant sandwiches at the fast foods, they're not really croissants. They're who knows what. Okay, so we'll just put the other one on there. And now I've taken the pan out. I'm going to go ahead, since that croissant would be a little bit big for just the quarters there, I'm going to go ahead and set it right in the big pan. And all this is going to do is warm it up, melt the cheese, and crisp up that top a little bit. So that's probably only going to take about 2 minutes probably to get the cheese all melty. So while that's cooking, let's take a look at Meat Heaven. So far I haven't really done any big main dishes in here, but you'd be surprised what you can cook in this little machine. It does a lot of big jobs, and one of my favorites is right here, and there's a beautiful picture of it as well. It's called Italian Stuffed Pork Roast. So what I've got here is just a pork tenderloin. I love using pork tenderloins because they're really low in fat, and they're low in calories, and they cook up really fast. And they're not really expensive either. They come 2 in a package usually, so I'm just going to take it and kind of slice it with a knife, but not cut it all the way through. Now I have a little tenderizer. You see this thing, you've probably seen them advertised. If you ever have a chance to get one, do, because they are so great. It's like 1,000 little knives all going in there at the same time. And it really cuts down, breaks up those tendons and really tenderizes your meat. So I'm just going to run it through a little bit and then just kind of pop this guy open. Now I've got some spinach leaves, and I'll have you know I went out in my greenhouse and picked these fresh, but you can buy them at the store if you have to. I do have a garden, and I love to grow my vegetables. And this spinach, it's so nice to go out in the morning and just pick a couple of leaves of spinach for my my omelet in the morning. So I'll just go and lay those spinach leaves in there. Now this is pesto, and you can buy it in a jar, you can get it in a tube, you can make your own. I'm not a great pesto maker, so this is a really good brand. It tastes delicious, and it's quick to use. And you see I've just spread a little line of the pesto right down the middle of that spinach. Now of course it wouldn't be pesto without pine nuts, so I'm going to add just a few more to it. And all we need to do now is kind of roll that up. Now, butcher's twine, of course, would be the best way to tie up that roll. But if you don't happen to have any, one of my favorites is just a length of dental floss. So all I'm going to do is just give that a little tie Dental floss is useful for all kinds of things in the kitchen. I truss turkeys with it. You can even use it to cut cakes and cheesecakes. It just stretch it between your hands and just cut right down through it. It makes a nice, quick, even cut. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and pull this around here. Okay, okay. Nice thing about the Express is it's very forgiving. You know, when the bell rings, if you're not quite ready, just let it stay a second. I hope that croissant's going to forgive me for not being real fast here. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the full round for this. So I've got it preheated right there in the machine. We're going to give it a little spray of non-stick in the bottom. And just lay that tenderloin right in there in a little circle, if you'll cooperate with me. There we go. Now don't forget to spray the top and close it up. And that's going to take about 15 minutes. I think this is the only recipe I do that takes the whole time on the timer. Now let's take a look at our croissant. Oh, see, I probably should have gotten it when the bell rang, but you know what? I was busy doing other things. But you know what? That's not bad. And luckily for me, my husband will eat them when they're a little bit dark like that. Now this is breakfast on the go, remember? So I'm going to wrap it in a napkin. Oh, I'm going to pull it open just a little bit so you can see that in just a couple of minutes that was in there, that provolone is all melted, the ham is nice and warm, and I've got that egg on there. Now that's as good a sandwich as you're going to get anywhere, and you know exactly what's in it, so it's much better for you as well. And you can take it and run off to work. Now, while that tenderloin is cooking, I'm going to show you a real quick, easy side dish. And this is something I make a lot of the times. You know, there's not always time to make baked potatoes when you're making a dinner. So I cheat a little bit and I use the microwave oven. So what I've got is just a microwave-safe glass, and I've got a couple of potatoes sliced up in here. Now here's the trick. Take 1 pan of butter, add a little bit of water, and some seasonings to it. Now this is all the butter that's going to go on these 3 potatoes. And you're not going to need to add any more at the table, so it's really a low-calorie potato. I've got a little garlic. There is no recipe for this. You guys can just add what you like on your potatoes. I use a little of this Lowry's seasoned salt and a little bit of pepper, some garlic, some onion powder. You got chives. Put whatever you like in there. The pepper on top. And I'm just going to pop this into the microwave for just about 30 seconds, just long enough to melt that butter. And then I'm going to pour it over those potatoes and pop a lid on it and put it in the microwave, and that'll cook in the microwave in about 9-10 minutes or so. And it can sit for 15 minutes while you're waiting for the rest of dinner to get ready. Just leave the lid on and leave it right in there, and just before you're ready to serve it, stir it up, and we'll show you that when they come out. Okay, our butter's melted with our seasonings in it, and I'm just going to give it a little bitty stir and just kind of drizzle it over those potatoes. So remember, that's a tablespoon of butter, a little water, and some different seasonings. And those are going to cook right in the microwave in about 9-10 minutes or so. And it's a delicious side dish for any kind of meat when you just don't have time to bake real potatoes in the oven. I'm going to pop those right in the microwave, and they'll be done when my pork tenderloin's done. Okay, let's check our tenderloin. Oh, yes. Doesn't that look good? Tell me you can't make full meals in here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and pull this out of there. And I'm going to actually cut into it so you can see the inside. And there's our potatoes too, so we'll just let them stand for a second. Now let me go ahead and cut this dental floss off of here. Of course, I used to tell my family whoever got the dental floss had to do the dishes. And only the stupid ones would say they got dental floss. All right, well, I'll pull that off afterwards. Let's go ahead and cut into it and see what we got. Oh, look at that. There, it's beautifully browned. My husband, I know, likes the end cut. But you can see it's perfectly done. You don't want any pink in pork, and that's just beautifully done. And because I cooked it in the round pan, I've even got a little bit of juice to pour over it. Oh yeah, now let's get those potatoes out. See how they did. Now remember, these cook for about 9 minutes, and then they can stand if they need to, if you need a little more time for your dinner. Oh, yes indeed. Low-cal baked potatoes. 1 tablespoon of butter on all of these potatoes, and I don't think you're going to find any need to add more butter at the table. They're just delicious, and they're so moist and so good. Except maybe dessert. Okay, you ready for dessert? I am. This is the Lunches and Snacks recipe book, and what you're going to find inside is the recipe for anytime cookies. Now, what this means is anytime somebody says, don't we have any cookies? Yes, you do. Now, this is a real simple recipe, and I know you can buy cookies in the refrigerator section at the store, but they're not Mom's cookies, and it's just not the same. So I made the recipe real easy. All you do is mix it up in a bowl. It's like a half a cup of butter, half a cup of sugar, half a cup of brown sugar. Put it in a Ziploc bag and just use your hands to form it into a bar just like this and toss it in the refrigerator. Now this will store in the refrigerator for a couple of weeks, but keep it in there for at least 3 hours before you bake your first cookie. And when you're ready for cookies, whether you want 2 or 4 or whatever, all you have to do is pull out the end and give it a slice. Now these have pecans in them. You could add chocolate chips in them if you prefer, but these are just kind of a plain cookie. We like these with ice cream. And pick the pan you want to use. In this case, today I'm going to use the 2 ovals because it kind of lets them spread out a little bit. I'm going to spray it with a little nonstick spray, and let me give you a little rule of thumb. If you were cooking these in the oven, you would spray the cookie sheet. So I spray the inside of the Ready, Set, Go. That's the rule of thumb I use to decide whether I'm going to need a nonstick spray, but you know what? Better safe than sorry. So I'm just going to drop those right in there, and they're just kind of spread out and make it like a little oval cookie. Now, I use those recipe books a lot for recipes, but sometimes I just use them for ideas. I found a recipe in there for what's called bananas Foster. You're all familiar with that. That's a fancy dessert with butter and brown sugar and bananas, and they set fire to it with rum or something when you're done. I'm personally not a fan of hot bananas, but I do like apples, so I'm going to make my version of bananas Foster. We'll call it Apples Mitchell. Why not? So we're going to just take the full round pan. I've got it heated up in there, and I'm going to add a pat of butter, and I'm going to add just a little bit of brown sugar. It's about 3 tablespoons, I think. Let's push that around a little bit so it kind of melts. Ooh, yeah. How can anything made with butter be bad, right? And we'll sprinkle that brown sugar in there. Now you notice how nice and loose my brown sugar is. That's because I learned a secret a long time ago. If you put an apple in with your brown sugar, it'll moisten it back up. So if you look in there one day and it's just a big hard lump, drop a little piece of apple in there, put the lid back on it, and it'll soften right up. Apples are great for keeping things fresh. If you've baked a cake and you're storing it in your cake keeper, slide a little slice of apple in there with the cake, and it'll keep it moist and fresh for days longer. Now I've got some apples cut up here, and these are just sliced real thin, and I'm going to go ahead and lay these in here. If you wanted to put a little bit of cinnamon in here, you could, but I'm just going to let those apples cook. Now this recipe is real fast. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes. What you're looking to do is just get a little hot caramel sauce with that butter and that brown sugar and kind of sizzle up those apples. So I'm going to go get some ice cream to serve it on, and we'll be back and show you what it looks like in a minute. I wish you could smell it in here. Smells like apples and caramel and cookies. And take a look at our cookies. Now that's just 2 cookies, so if that's all I wanted, there they are. Perfect cookies every time. And if you wanted to, you could put a little ice cream between them and make a little ice cream sandwich or whatever. Speaking of ice cream, ooh, look at this. Now these are our apples. And you see I could have probably put even more apples in there than I did, but in that little hot caramel sauce. And because they're in the separate pan, I can just drizzle those on that ice cream. Oh, does that look good? Oh, it smells hot, like hot melted caramel in here. I'm ready to eat. I've got my spoon and everything. I think we could even tuck a cookie in each one just to make them look special. What do you think? That's a great dessert. Look at what we've done today. We've made breakfasts, lunches, dinners, great desserts, fancy dinners, simple snacks, on-the-go meals. The Perfect Pan Club, you can see, has just made so much of a difference in taking a great machine and making it even better. Because you know, if you've got great tools, you can be a great cook. You see how easy it is? And look around, I've made what, 15, 16 different things today, and I've never once gone near the stove, and I don't have a mountain of dirty dishes to clean up. I've just got one little pan each time I make something. So join that Perfect Pan Club. Get these pans, get your imagination flowing, and you'll have so much more fun getting your meals on the table. And you know what? Kids love to cook. Get them started. We're raising a whole generation of kids that are starting to cook, and they love using this machine, and they will eat what they make for themselves. So join the Perfect Pan Club. Get those recipes so you've got lots and lots of ideas. You'll never run out of things to make when you've got that Kathy's Easy Eating Recipe Club. Just go to RediSetGo.com, and there, you'll find the store there where you can join both the clubs, order extra parts or whatever you need. And meanwhile, have a good time with your machine. Relax, enjoy. This is not rocket science. It's just a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen.